Hello, everyone. Oliver G here from the Eiffel Tower podcast, and here comes a new episode that's about two things, specifically the 17th arrondissement of Paris and Tom Vickers, who's actually our guest, and he's an Australian chef who runs a few cafes in this very district. So this is our deep dive into the 17th Kingdom, as I've been calling it, part of our 20 to 1 series through all the arrondissements. And it's brought to you by our Eiffel Tower Tours, award-winning walking tour company that we got here. Let us show you Paris like you've not seen it before. Come and see what all these exceptional reviews are about. There are links for that in the show notes, as well as links to all the places that Tom recommends, including Inform Coffee, the Flagship, and incredibly beautiful cafe that he runs and that is built against a 19th century brick tower just a few steps away from the delightful Parc Monceau. So let's meet Tom sitting over a cup of coffee in his spot to talk about the 17th district of Paris. I'll be back at the end with some extras, but first, some music from Press Maxim. Tom Vickers, a fellow Australian. How you doing?
Good.
Where are you from in Australia?
I was born in Sydney. I grew up in Byron Bay.
Oh, that's the cool part of town, isn't it?
It's cool, yeah. Byron Bay is cool.
What's the equivalent of Byron Bay in Paris?
The equivalent of Byron Bay in Paris? I'd say the equivalent in France is maybe Osgore, maybe, but it's a bit more developed. In Paris, I don't know.
Where are the cool people hanging out? Evidently, you and me don't know.
Yeah, I really don't know. Maybe like around whereabouts is September, that kind of area of
like in the 11th, sort of?
Maybe around there.
Well, we're not here to talk about the 11th, but we're here to talk about the 17th. And I want to start off by just picking your brains about this neighborhood in which we're sitting now in one of your cafes, one of your multiple cafes that are even in this district. And I kind of want you to paint a picture for the listeners at home about what the 17th is. I think it's not very touristy here. It's probably not everyone listening will have been. Can you walk us through it a little bit?
Yeah, I think the 17th is it's not touristy, but there's a lot of expats. So there's a lot of people who come from overseas, either Australia or America or England. A lot of English-speaking type people that live and work in Paris in different companies, I guess. So I wouldn't call it touristic, but there's still a lot of a mixed community, if you like. So in that sense, there's also a couple of famous universities. So there's a lot of students. It's a slightly upper market, I guess. Arrondissement, it's not hyper trendy, but there's lots of cool stuff here.
I sensed actually when I was walking down that Rue de Levis, which is a market street. It wasn't really this morning. Is it like kind of sometimes it's really bustling? Sometimes
it gets pretty busy. It's a cool market street. I think it was one of the first market streets that I saw when I first came to Paris. So it's a cool little street. It's got some good little concepts down there. Yeah.
Well, when I was walking down, I live in the 12th near the Marché des Ligues, actually, and I felt like the 17th is kind of like a bit more of a little bit more fancy 12th was the feeling I got.
Yeah, I guess you could say that. Yeah.
So how does that fit in with a guy like you that has this magnificent cafe that we're sitting in that I want to talk about in a second? Do your cafes fit in with this district and the kind of people who are here?
They do. But I think that they do. The people in the 17th really seem to like our cafes and what we're doing, but it wasn't done intentionally. It's really a natural thing. When we opened up in the 17th, I think that the community here was kind of almost looking for someone to open up something like that. They really like it. The clientele are cool. It's a interesting mix of people.
What other clientele? I mean, I'm looking around now. People seem young. You said there's universities around here.
Yep.
What are the universities?
Sorbonne, I think it's called, the University of Sorbonne, which is just over here. We had a lot of people from there. The clientele in the 17th I find very interesting. There's a couple of distinct characters. We have the kind of characters who are, we actually have clients like in the 17th who are capable of calling the police on us because they don't like the bins that we generate and order coffee from us at the same time. So they'll be in our coffee shop ordering coffee from us and walking outside calling the police. So it's a very strange thing.
That's happened then, I guess.
That's happened, yeah. That's happened quite a bit. It's cool. And they're actually nice people. It's just an interesting mindset.
What does that say? Because that tells me, for people at home, if you haven't sort of put it on the map, that the 17th is obviously between the 16th and the 18th, which couldn't be more different. 16th and 18th. 16th posh, sort of old money. 18th young bohemian artists. 17th in the middle must get this sort of. It's like where two seas meet. Or where the river meets the sea and the water's going all over the place. Is that kind of a fair description of it?
Yeah, I guess so. It's the older community are a little bit more reserved, more kind of very almost protective over the arrondissement, and the younger people are really hyper trendy, very cool. It's obvious that there's a little bit of money behind in the families around here, but there's also an alternative vibe. So yeah, it's a weird fusion of what you'd find in the 18th and what you'd find in the 16th.
That's cool. Although it's kind of, it feels like maybe, when it's like a fusion, it's like the identity hasn't really been created yet. It hasn't figured what its identity is, where some districts you can sum up in one word. I don't know how I would sum up the 17th.
That's true. It really depends. Also, I find that it changes a lot. Rue Levy, where we were just before, the Market Street, which has one really particular vibe, and then if you go over to the Palais de Congrès, it's a completely different vibe. It's all businessmen, very there's no grit at all over there. So it's very different.
Identity crisis?
I guess, yeah.
Tell me, like, if we talk specifically to tourists, people who are coming to Paris. Maybe even if they know Paris kind of well, but they haven't ventured this far, are there things that you'd point out that they should seek out in this district?
I don't think there's any like actual monuments, except there's the Museum of Economy, which is just there.
We can't. So your cafe is in the museum, or is it totally separate? I mean, we share a wall with them at least.
We share a wall with them. Yeah, we're kind of in the old the Museum of Economy used to be the vault. The France's vault for the Bank of France, where they kept all the gold, which has now been turned into a museum. And our cafe is in what used to be the courtyard beside that bank, which has been enclosed nowadays.
You know the history of that tower up there? I love old walls and towers.
If I'm right, I could be wrong, but I think that it's one of the only examples of Italian-German architecture in Paris. The tower was is kind of done by Italian and German architects, I think.
Do you remember how old it is?
No, I don't know. It's called Hotel Guillard, I think it's called. No,
Probably,
I don't remember.
Maybe up to 400 years old, my guess. 150 to 400.
Yeah, it's definitely up there.
It kind of reminds me of the district. The fact that you got Italian and German architecture in an old bank that's turned cafe. That's seems like what we're talking about.
Yeah, I guess that's specific to the area. It's that weird kind of fusion of two things coming together every time. It's which makes it what it is. Yeah.
I want to ask you. I want to really prod you for some recommendations. Whether that's uncomfortable or not, I won't do it physically. But I want to ask for some recommendations of places, and then I want to get into your fascinating career and story in Paris. As the coffees were arriving, delicious coffee. I had a sip. We've been fact checked from people in the background that the tower is 150 years old, which is kind of what we thought, isn't it?
Yeah, it's close to what we
something like that. I didn't fact check the Italian-German thing. Are you confident on it?
I'm pretty confident. I don't know. I think that's true.
But that's okay. You're a chef, and that's what we're going to talk about in a second. But first, to be really tangible, I'm going to spend the rest of the day here. Could you give me 3 places I should seek out?
I think that if you start at the side of the 17th, closest to the 18th, if that makes sense, you can go just in streets. If you go to Rue de Dames, there's a lot of little restaurants there. There's a couple of little wine bars, and so there's some cool stuff over there to check out. After there's Rue Levy, where we were this morning, which is the market type street. And you can walk back down around the park and via Turn kind of area. There's a few little things around there, but there's a lot of empty gaps. And then if you keep going all the way around to the Palais de Congrès, you can finish up at the pub at the Canadian Embassy. So
you mentioned that because that was almost where we met today. Because with this whole series of the 20 Kingdoms of Paris, I'm calling it, I asked the guests where to meet, and we had a different plan for today that didn't work out, and that's how we ended up in your coffee shop. Not that this isn't an excellent place to meet, but the Canadian pub really spoke to me. Is it part of the Canadian Embassy as well? Do you know?
I don't know. It's called the Canadian Embassy pub, but the Canadian Embassy isn't there. So I don't know if they're connected to the Canadian Embassy or not, but it's definitely very Canadian. The menu's Canadian, the beers are Canadian, the clientele are mixed American, Canadian, Australian, English, French. There's a lot of English speakers in there. But it's a really cool pub. What I like about it is that I've not spent a lot of time in Canada, but in Australia we've got those kind of old school pubs that are kind of really wooden and like dark woods, and it's kind of like that almost grimy atmosphere of an old wooden pub, and it's got that atmosphere, so it kind of feels a little bit like home school place for a beer in that sense.
Perfect. Maybe I'll grab a beer there tonight. Sounds like a good idea. But you mentioned menus. You brought up menus, and this is where I almost felt your eyes light up talking about food and menus, because this is who you are and what you do. I kind of want to talk about this career you had, because it gobsmacked me a little bit. You're the guy that you're the brain, the palate, the mind behind a lot of menus.
Yeah.
How does that even happen? Like, I'm not that guy at all. I can't fathom how you taste food differently. Not just taste food differently, but can put it together in a different way, in a way that other chefs and restaurant owners are headhunting you to get your brain. How are you so different?
I don't know. I spent a lot of time studying food, different cuisines. I love, obviously I love food. I love recipes. I like the chemistry behind food. So I get really into the different effects of the different chemical reactions. And I love playing with different cuisines. So I like to really study a classical cuisine. So with French cuisine, for example, I study the really classic base of it. And then I like to just use different styles from different classical cuisines and remake the food, if that makes sense, to kind of revisit everything from a different perspective. I really like flavor. So I like to put a lot of flavor into what I do. I think that all the food that you eat should be like nothing should be boring. Basically, I get frustrated by boring food, I think. So I like to be as creative as possible, but as traditional as possible at the same time.
So when you say that you study French food, for example, I assume you mean like all like the famous sauces and this kind of stuff, or what do you even mean? Like you just everything? Do you go into the?
Well, yeah, I guess if you wanted to study French food, then sauces is a pretty good place to start. You got all your mother sauces and all your derivatives of all your mother sauces, and you can study French food in that way, or you can study French food as like a provincial cuisine, go to every single region and look at all of the classics that come out of every region, and which I think is a kind of interesting and surprising way to study a cuisine like French, because a lot of the food which is a speciality from an area is stuff which you've tasted in different places or different cuisines, and just realizing that it actually comes from the base of it comes from somewhere which is being preserved is a cool discovery. So you can study the classic sense of like studying sauces and the different butchery cuts and the different like classic dishes, or you can study the zones where things originated and where they came from and why they came from and all that sort of thing.
And then when you say then you mix it with other things that you've learned along the way, do you mean okay, I get ratatouille, let's add some Indian sort of curry powder to it and see is that what you mean?
No.
Tell me what you mean.
That is a funny way of looking at it. I mean, it's cool. You could make a ratatouille and put some soy sauce in it or something. And call that fusion. But that's kind of I think that's when fusion becomes confusion. It's not what it is. I think that the way to do it is to revisit, like a really easy way to start. If you were to take a dish like ratatouille, you can do like what they famously did in the movie Ratatouille is just change the way that the vegetables are cut, change the way that it's presented, and then it kind of turns it into a different recipe in some ways. But I think what's interesting is one really interesting thing when it comes to mixing two different cuisines. You could take a cuisine that's really good at something like presentation and take another cuisine that's really good at flavor. So for like off the top of my head, an example could be where French gastronomy can be exceptional in presentation, and then you can take a different cuisine like Thai, which is exceptional in flavor, not so exceptional in presentation, and then remake Thai food with a French presentation to try and find a new way how to look at the dish differently. You obviously eat with your eyes first. That's one way to fuse two different things. Or you can just use different techniques. There are different cultures and different cuisines use different techniques, and so you could make the food from one cuisine using techniques from a different cuisine, if that makes sense.
Yeah, sure.
I'm not sure if I'm explaining that well.
No, I get it. What about people who are sitting at home and go, everything I cook is boring and flavorless? What's that? Are they quick hacks? I mean, you've drunk deeply from this cup. You think about it all the time. What is the classic layman or laywoman doing wrong when they're cooking spaghetti bolognese or an omelette or something?
I would say that the majority of people who are doing something wrong when they're cooking at home are under seasoning and overcooking. That's probably the first two errors. It's don't overcook things, like especially not vegetables or pasta, or don't overcook anything actually. And always season food. It doesn't have to be a mountain of salt. You can season with all kinds of different things. It doesn't have to, flavor. And don't be afraid to try things. Just if you find your food boring, I think that for most people, if they find cooking boring, it's because they always buy the same ingredients. It's hard to avoid because the grocery shop is probably always selling the same ingredients. But try and do things differently instead of cooking things in water. Instead of blanching your vegetables, try and grill them or different techniques like that. Always just try things, I think. How
do you feel when you go into a restaurant in Paris? Someone invites you somewhere for a meeting or whatever, and the food is disgusting. What do you do?
I try and avoid restaurants that serve disgusting food.
What happens if I invited you somewhere today for this podcast and I didn't really think about it, I picked a bad place and we sit down and we eat?
Yeah.
And so you've been sort of almost tricked into it.
In that case, I will most likely order the safest thing. So if I find myself in a place where I don't trust the food, I'll read the menu and look around me and guess whatever dish I think is the one that the most people order, and order that. Because if nothing else, if everyone's ordering that dish, there's a pretty good chance that the food is at least fresh. So it's at least if it doesn't taste good, it's not going to be bad.
So what would that be typically, like a croque monsieur or something? Like,
it depends where you are, but yeah, if you're in a place where everyone's eating croque monsieur and there's clearly the menu's geared toward the croque monsieur, then yeah.
How can you tell that it's a bad restaurant just by looking around though?
Telltale signs for me for a bad restaurant. First of all, cleanliness. How clean is the restaurant? How attentive are the staff on the floor? If tables have been wiped down, if there's a waiter smoking a cigarette on the terrace, or these kinds of like obvious signs, and how repetitive the concept is. For me, if a restaurant has tried to make its own identity, there's a pretty good chance that it'll be decent. Someone cares somewhere along the line. So if they've tried to make their own thing, then someone cares enough to do that. So they're probably putting effort in somewhere. If the restaurant is just like, sometimes you can, in Paris, there's a great example of this. If you walk around in Paris, you could walk past 20 French bistros, and 20 French bistros have exactly the same menu, exactly the same food, exactly the same color awning, the same style chair, the same this, that. It's just copy and paste of everything else. For me, that's a no-go because if you don't care enough to put a little bit of your own personality into the concept, then you're probably just counting the money at the end of the day. You probably don't care really what you're serving. You're just looking for a margin. In that case, it's probably not very good.
It's just a business for them. They're like, this work next door, I'll do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Which brings us, I mean, your menus have, we were talking before, you had, you were running a 2 Michelin star place in Amsterdam. It was it won best restaurant in Amsterdam.
It did.
Good for you, by the way. That's awesome.
It was part of a team, but yeah, that's it.
But here, that brings us to here. And I looked at the menu. I looked at the menu for Inform, where we're sitting now at home. I skimmed it before I came. I was like, everything there looks cool and different. What was the idea there? And can you walk me through a few things that you serve here?
The idea of Inform's menu was to take what I consider to be food that I want to eat when I'm in a coffee shop. So one of my friends, a chef from Melbourne, came and visited me. He came to Inform and he read the menu and said, "Tom, this is just the food that you like to eat." I was, yeah, pretty much.
Yes, so
for me, I found it hard when I first came to Paris. I found it hard to get a really good breakfast and really good coffee. I think that lots of Anglo-Saxons, Australians had felt like that in
But
Paris.
when was that you came to Paris?
About 15 years ago.
Okay, right. So
Today it's not the case.
Well, there was no 15 years ago. You could count the coffee shops that served like specialty coffee on one hand, I think. Right?
Yeah, there was maybe Koutoum and maybe someone else, but definitely maybe Koutoum was the start of all that.
Yeah.
But
now there are like 300 or 400.
Now there's heaps.
Right.
But it's starting to be a bit of it's starting to become a little bit what I don't like about the bistro. There's a little bit. I think that there's a lot of investors that are just seeing coffee shops that are busy and saying, "I'll take one of them," and rubber stamping it and trying to push it out, which I think is not the best thing for the industry. But when I wrote the menu for Inform, I'll always, when I start brainstorming a menu, I'll write a couple of keywords, and then I'll start writing a list of ingredients that I want to use, and then I'll start putting it together and building recipes from that. My keywords for writing the menu for Inform was coffee shop classics done to perfection. So that's what I tried to do, is to take what I think, what I see as coffee shop classics from Australia, from England, from America, from Japan, and they were the main influences in the menu, and take a classic from everyone and build it as good as I could.
So tell me something I'm going to eat here after we finish talking. Tell me what I should get.
You should get an Hokkaido bun. It's a bread roll that we make. We use a Tanzan method of shakopun, which is a Japanese white bread. Normally it's made as like a white sliced bread. We make it into a bun. And we put like American delicatessen food on it, like pastrami, pulled pork, and stuff like that. So it's kind of like an American-Japanese fusion sandwich, if you like. That's really good. I like that.
And what should my wife have? In other words, tell me two good things.
Two good things. Well, there's that. The croissant Benedict is a huge hit. Well, people like that. It's heavy. If you want something lighter, you could go for.
No, walk me through that. So it's a croissant. Do you make the croissants here?
We make them in a lab in Montmartre. Well, we started making them in a lab in Montmartre, but we sell too many, and so we have started outsourcing the making of croissants, but we're very picky about who we work with for that. But it's just a question of volume, really. So it's a croissant, which we cook every day. We cut it in half. We grill the croissant, and then we make an eggs Benedict on top of it. So either with smoked salmon or ham or spinach, poached eggs, hollandaise sauce. Pretty classic Benedict, but on a croissant.
Then, I think we've been talking, I think our time is running away from us. I want to end by talking, by just sort of describing the scene where we are right now for people at home driving in Minnesota. They don't realize that this is quite an exceptional room we're sitting in. And I think together I want to describe it. The first thing that struck me, you walk in through the back of this museum, you got this 150-year-old brick tower that just goes up and up and up. The ceiling is enormous, and it's a glass ceiling.
Yeah.
White, modern, mixed with German, Italian tower.
Yeah.
It's like nothing I've seen before.
It's a strange mix of things, yeah. Which is once again the 17th.
How high is that ceiling? I mean, so you got the it's got to be it's at least I can't even see it from where I'm sitting. 15 meters.
Yeah.
Is that many feet?
It's huge.
Yeah. So,
makes air conditioning expensive.
I bet. And how does that, Tom? Is that like a big draw of people who are coming here just to see this building? I mean, the pictures.
It's funny because when we found this site, when we got this, so we were exceptionally lucky to get this site. It went through a couple of people before it ended up with us. The biggest concern for everyone concerned was that it would be impossible to draw people in here. But once people came in here, it would be, and everyone, it was obvious that once you see it, you'd come back. the challenge for everyone concerned was how do we get people in. And so we just persisted with that, like communicated with our clients that we already had and whatever to try and bring people in. And so here we are.
I've talked to other people, other big heavyweights in the coffee industry, who I know are jealous of you having this place. So
Really?
it's
Nice to hear.
This is
It's funny because some people, a lot of people pass on this site, and it's true that getting people in the first time is a huge challenge. Yeah, because you can't tell that we're here, and you're not allowed to put a sign out the front. There's a lot of restrictions on the site because it's protected and so on. So we used to walk around the neighborhood and just talk to people and tell people to come in and try stuff. And
I love that. I
I
love that kind of grassroots starting a business or making something work. I love it. Tell me, are you here a lot behind the scenes?
Yeah, I'm here a lot. I'm here. I would say I'm here every day, except for Mondays. But we're shut Mondays, so it's not much point. I go to all my restaurants every day. So yeah.
So that leads me to two final questions. It's weird, but I can almost guarantee people listening to this episode right now when they come in here for brunch, probably to eat the exact thing that you mentioned. Should they seek you out? Are you hiding around the background? Are you shy to say hello to people? Or
I'm pretty shy. Yeah.
They shouldn't come up and say, "Is Tom here? I want to say hello."
Oh, they can if they want to. Absolutely. I'll do my best. But yeah, I'm not the kind of chef who likes to walk around in the dining room and shake everybody's hand. It's not that I don't like it. It's just it's very unnatural to me. I think that because I'm shy, it's kind of off-putting to people. If I was more skilled at it, I think people would like it more.
Yeah, I get you. Okay, well, let's talk about let's finish on your other places in the 17th to begin with, and then elsewhere, so that people can seek out the stuff that you do.
Okay. Well, we've got our small coffee shop, the one which we call Inform One. Internally, we call it Inform One, which is Rue Georges Berger. It's just really is a classic coffee shop with a takeaway window. It's a busy little shop.
I probably shouldn't say this, but good-looking people are there. I never seen anything like it. I was there last week. I was like, everyone, men and women, young and old, they're all good looking. I'm surprised they let me in.
It's true. There's a lot of attractive people there. There's a lot of attractive people in the 17th, actually. It's an odd phenomenon, I guess.
It is. That is an odd phenomenon. It doesn't make sense. Why?
I have no idea. I guess just the way it is. Just lucky, I guess. But yeah, it is. Inform One does attract a lot of beautiful people. It's true. It's something we noticed when we first opened, and we didn't know what we were doing to do that. But perhaps there's just a lot of good-looking people on that street. But it's true that here as well on the weekends, especially, it's full of beautiful people. So yeah, that's our classic coffee shop. That's the one that started everything. We never expected it to take off quite as much as it did, but it did. And I think that's what caught the eye of people when this site was getting passed around between different people. And then we've got here, of course, which is also in the 17th, the museum site, which is our biggest. We call this one internally, we call this one Inform Restaurant, because it has more of a restaurant structure where we have like waiters and we have a small wine list, we have a natural wine list, we have more of a restaurant kind of feel. And then we have our third one, which we call Inform Lab, which is where we do all of our experiments for all the concepts. So all the consulting we do for external companies and all of the different, any project that we do, we lab work all of our recipes in Montmartre. It's our most alternative coffee shop.
And then you also do wine as well, right?
Yeah, we do wine. We have a small pop-up concept that we call Deform, which is where we kind of deform inform, and instead of specializing in coffee, we specialize in wine. And it's because my wife and I both have gastronomic backgrounds, so it's where we allow ourselves to give ourselves a bit of a space to express ourselves in that sense and move away from the coffee shop world and show our clients what we can do in more of a wine and dining kind of atmosphere.
And where's that? Is that?
Sometimes we do it here on Thursday evenings. Normally the first Thursday of every month we'll do it here. We do it sometimes in Montmartre as well. And we have a location coming up soon, which where we'll do it not as a pop-up, but as an actual concept. That will probably open up in September.
Whereabouts?
The Museum of Modern Art.
Oh, yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Good for you. And is the next thing on your horizon to open a fancy restaurant in Paris? Thai and French fusion with a bit of Indian curry powder?
It's kind of a lifelong goal. I don't know whether or not we have no actual concrete plans for it, but yeah, if the stars align, then we'll definitely do that. Yeah.
Well, I look forward to firstly checking out your other places around in Paris, and then finding your restaurant when you open it. But thanks for being my expert on the 17th arrondissement. It's been a pleasure to talk to you, Tom Vickers.
Thanks very much.
So there you have it. Again, the music from Press Max. And I'm sure you already know the song, but I'll reveal what it is and talk about it a bit more in the episode that comes out on Friday, which will be me and my wife, Lena, sharing our own finds in the neighborhood, our explorations, some of the things that Tom talked about too. So you got a little bonus episode coming on Friday. But yeah, 100% go and check out Inform Coffee, the coffee shop that Tom runs. Fascinating conversation, both on the mic and off the mic. Thanks for listening. Thanks to all the members on Patreon and Substack. And thank you, of course, to all the people considering, or who've already done it, but considering booking a walking tour. The EiffelTower.com/tours. You'll hear from me again with a new episode on Friday. But thanks for listening. Enjoy the 17th arrondissement. It's totally worth a look. Fusion, not confusion. That's the concept, I think. And I'll be back again before you know it with a new episode. Merci beaucoup and au revoir.